Hi, Dyslexic Genius here. What I'm going to show you about a Victor 3 is how do I get the back bracket, that's this black thing, apart, and this is the tonearm. How do we get this apart? Well, you have to understand that there's a shaft that runs all the way through the tonearm, and then we hit here, and then there's a spring down in here. But what you want to first do is check right here where the pivot is. You want to kind of wiggle the tonearm and make sure it's not real loose. Sometimes these wear out because nobody oils them. Also, on the other side, we have a set screw here. And this shaft is in two pieces. So we have a set screw, shaft, and another shaft that runs through. I'm going to show you how to get these all apart. And why do you want to take this apart? Because there's a spring in here, and this spring rusts. Now, if this spring is bad and rusted, you know the little springs out of old ballpoint pens? That'll perfectly work in there. And then you just stretch them out a little to get a little more tension because the spring pushes up and keeps the tonearm in place. So let's go.
Is there a ball bearing in there?
There's no ball bearings in this.
Okay.
The bearing is, this piece is brass and it runs on this pivot right here. So to get it apart, you got to kind of manhandle them a little. And what I do is pull this back, let it come up, and then I grab it with a pair of needle nose. Now that you got it apart, you just take a screwdriver, push this down. Now it comes, and now be very careful, because if you don't, it'll go boing out like that. Now, what we're going to do is, there we go, spring. And the spring's not rusted. This is good. We'll clean all this up. Now you can polish this. Now what you do is you flip it over. You see here where they have a dent on the side from it whapping into the back bracket. See that dent right there? So you take this out. This is one of those really special set screws from Victor. You don't want to lose this little set screw. A little tiny piece right there. We're just going to drop it right in the middle of there so we know where it is. Now usually these are a little tight, so all you got to do is get a piece of wood. The base of this is wood. You just take it and go push down, pops out. Now you go, how do I get it out, Brett? You grab it into the center. You can do this and wiggle the tonearm apart. There we go. All where I grabbed it, right here in the center, you see this indentation? That's where the set screw rides. It holds this thing in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll everything around. And that's bent, so we're going to have to bend that back into place because this is part here. This has a hole that fits in there. And now all you're going to need to do is bend this back into place because it's a little crooked. You want to check that. You want to polish out like I do on gear trains, you know, cleaning the pivots and stuff, because this turns like this inside the tonearm. Now what you can do, you can polish everything out and it'll reassemble the same way. And that's all there is to taking one of these apart, but you need to check that. On reassembly, what you will do is you will clean all this up and you will put just a little bit of green grease right here, or STP, whatever you have on hand. A little bit of STP there. Nothing goes into the hole right here, but you will oil this pivot, and this is the pivot that goes to the top. So everything will go back. It's very simple to take apart and put back together. They're a little tricky because sometimes these springs are a little tight, and that one was a little tight. And then sometimes you pull up, you can't get it out of, you can't get the spring out of this in here. So I come in, you have to come in with like a dental pick or something, or a piece of wire with a hook. And you got to reach down, you got to come through here and reach down and pull that thing out. And if this is all rusted, then you're going to have to come in and flex on. And that's really hard because now you have to take out this piece to come in here. And I hope you enjoyed the video on the VIC 3. We're moving right along, and that's my tip for the day.